Entertaining movies like Ocean's 11 and Inside Man have shown us that a great cast has the ability to draw in its audience by making us become even more invested in its characters and the outcome of the plot. And The Specialist, a 1 to 4 player dice drafting game from publisher Explore 8, aims to do just that by putting its players in the leading role of a gang of specialized thieves who are racing to perform 7 legendary heists all around the world. And in today's sponsored video, I'll be showing you the ins and outs of this heist-themed game, focusing on what I believe to be the Specialist's main points of interest. And as always, I want to remind you that everything that you see here today is in fact prototype form, so please make sure that you guys check out the Kickstarter page for all the final rules and components. All right, so first I want to mention a couple of things about the overall scope of the game, most notably how incredibly simple it is to both learn and to teach. This game is all about drafting a single die on your turn and then spending any combination of dice on your player board to hire specialists that are going to trigger abilities and ultimately allow you to perform heists that earn you millions of dollars, with the goal being to be the player with the most amount of money at the end of the game. And to emphasize the simplicity in the game, I wanted to give you a brief glance at the rulebook that you see right here, which is going to show you how a player's turn is broken down into just 3 very short steps. You're going to choose a die, use a specialist or group of specialists, and then possibly perform a heist, and that's it. The speed of each player's turn means that this is a game that only takes about an hour to complete, even with 4 players seated at the table. And more importantly, it is a highly approachable one for newer gamers who are interested in Euro games, especially ones with dice drafting. However, expert gamers should also take a closer look at this because there is a surprising amount of depth and decisions to be made that are hidden below the surface. These gameplay mechanisms, which I'll discuss in just a moment, are what's going to reward more experienced gamers who enjoy careful, long-term planning, and most importantly, engine building, where your decisions might provide both immediate benefits to you, as well as reoccurring bonuses with each new specialist that you add to your stack of characters. In short, this is just one of those rare games that does a really great job of remaining simple to play from start to finish, yet also has the depth that is required to have an immediate appeal with more seasoned gamers like myself. So the title, The Specialist, is actually a really fitting label because these are exactly the type of characters that you will be recruiting throughout the game. A team of highly skilled professionals that will provide the proper set of requirements that are needed in order to grant you access to the 10 different cities and their associated heists around the globe. These unique specialists are represented with 72 cards that are broken down into 6 different archetypes. You have hackers, actresses, safe breakers, heavy lifters, acrobats, and finally drivers, each with their own set of abilities and, more importantly, their own set of icons that clearly delineate which skill that they provide during a heist. And it's really important to understand these specialists because they are the linchpin by which the entire game revolves. At the start of the game, each player will draft 1 of these 6 types of specialists and their starting die, and will have the opportunity to acquire more of these specialists throughout the game. And in addition to any skills that they provide to your team of thieves, each specialist also has 2 die icons on their card. A white die value that indicates the die that is needed in order to recruit that specialist to your team, and a black die value that indicates the die required to activate that specialist itself, triggering the ability on the bottom of the card, along with any other specialists of that same archetype that are already on your team. So for example, I can recruit this driver with a 6 value die and immediately activate her with another die of value 5 from my player board, gaining $2 million in the process to add to my stash. However, if I already had a driver or even multiple drivers on my team from previous turns, by doing that exact same action, I would now be able to activate all of the other driver special abilities, including the one I just purchased, allowing me to chain together massive amounts of bonuses all at once. And this is where these characters and the engine building aspects of this game really start to become apparent, as players will be forced with choosing to either recruit their characters with the hopes of triggering multiple bonuses that compound when they really specialize in only a few particular character types versus drafting their specialists for skill diversity, which is required for many of the different heists on the board. And through a careful set of choices, players must also consider how they are planning to carry out their heist by scoping out these locations well in advance and tailoring those decisions not only based on the powerful bonus actions that the specialists provide them when recruited, but more importantly, having the correct combination of skill icons that will contribute to a successful completion in these areas. And to explain this even further, at the end of each player's turn, that player is allowed to perform one heist in any city if and only if they meet two requirements. First, no player is ever allowed to perform more than a single heist in each of the 10 cities on the board. So you heard that correctly. Once you rob a casino or a bank or a jeweler in a location, the cops are onto you and you can never revisit that city again. And second, each location has their own unique combination of skill icon requirements that are needed in order to perform a heist in that location, which must be met by your group of specialists that you've recruited to your team. Now, if you meet both of these requirements, you can then perform a heist by placing one of your 7 gang signatures onto an unoccupied city location and then collect the reward that is associated with it. Now, a couple additional things can happen here that players must also consider. Each city has a pool of bonus tokens that are typically awarded to only the first player who performs a successful heist in that particular city. So, for example, if I'm the first player to perform a heist here in London, I would collect any one of the still available tokens in that pool and place it onto the designated area on my player board. These tokens have a wide range of single-use abilities and are discarded back into the game box once they are used. And as you might have picked up already, each city also has 3 different types of buildings that you can rob: casinos, banks, and jewelry stores, all providing different increments of cash, but more importantly, feed into yet another set of tokens that are first come, first serve. So maybe robbing that bank that provides less money than the casino is a better plan for you, since you can turn around and use those acquired tokens to fuel some of your future turns. And this is really the crux of the specialist, because what at first on the surface feels and plays like a lightweight drafting game suddenly takes on more weight by providing a deeper set of choices that require a good amount of strategy and planning, all themed around a fun recruitment mechanism that constantly pulls you in 2 very different directions. One that allows you to pull off very satisfying combos of bonus actions that provide lucrative resources to fuel your economy, versus diversifying in order to perform heists in more of the locations on the board. And this competition grows louder and louder and louder throughout the game as you are in constant battle with other players at the table to acquire the exact set of specialists that you want on your team before they are recruited to other players' teams. And these are just a few of some of the cool things that are going on, and I would invite you guys to check out the Kickstarter page and most certainly read the rules that are there to discover the game and more of the additional sets of gameplay mechanisms that are layered throughout the game, like informants that act both as the game's timer and provide short-term rewards during a player's turn, or expert tiles that provide powerful, unique abilities to the first player who specializes in each of the game's 6 types of specialists. If you have any questions about the game in general, please leave them in the comments below or join our Discord server to talk to myself or the rest of our team directly about the game. And as always, thank you for watching. Hey everyone, if you enjoyed this video, please consider dinging the bell below. That's going to notify you of all the new videos that are uploaded to our channel. Give us a big ol' thumbs up, subscribe, and as always, consider watching all of our other videos on the channel, one of which is right here to my left.